Good afternoon, good morning, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with Tom Alexander and Corey Ware from Uplevel Systems. So Tom is the CEO and Corey is the channel manager. Hey guys.
Scott, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you for joining us. So what can you tell us about Uplevel Systems as it relates to MSPs? Why do MSPs need to look at Uplevel Systems and partner with you guys?
Oh, that's an excellent question, Scott. So if you don't mind, actually, I came a bit forearmed, so I'll just share my screen and show you just why that is.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, let me open that up for you too. All right, go ahead and give it a try now and see if it'll work for you.
I shall indeed. Here we go. Okay, perfect. So to answer your question, Scott, who is Uplevel Systems? So I take it that's really what you're asking. So basically, Uplevel Systems is definitely still a small startup, but we are 100% focused on MSPs. So we are actually founded because we happened to notice that while there were a lot of people trying to improve the end customer's experience, there wasn't anyone that we could find who seemed to be focused on the MSP's experience. And that seemed to be a problem because MSPs are on the front lines. And so really, we should be doing more to help them get their jobs done better, because that then makes the customer happy and that makes all of us happy. So we are 100% MSPs. We only sell to MSPs through the channel. We do not go around and try and put our products on Amazon. So we have a decent sized channel, but we've been growing pretty quickly, and we have about 120,000 devices that report into Uplevel infrastructure every day, coast to coast.
Wow, that's great. Well, yeah. I want to actually, let everyone know in the audience, I am a proud, Uplevel Systems MSP as well. So one of the things that I want to mention is, last week, and I'm still working on the referral, but last week, Corey sent me a referral because I am an Uplevel MSP. So, we got a local referral in our area, and I just think that is great. So, just being, how would you say it? An affiliate, an MSP for Uplevel, just being in your system as, an MSP that works with Uplevel Systems can get you referrals in your area. I think that's beautiful.
It cuts both ways, Scott. We actually get a reasonable number of customers or end customers who come to us going, "Oh, this is a great system. How do I get one?" We're like, "Well, glad you asked," because what we then do is we just look up a partner of ours in that zip code, and we turn the lead over. And so it works for everyone.
That's perfect. And that's exactly how it played out for me. So thank you guys for that. Well, I didn't want to sidetrack your slide there. Go ahead back to your slide.
Oh, no. It'll be a really boring thing if it were a straight presentation, right? So
absolutely. Absolutely.
So actually, one thing that I'd like to note is exactly what problem we were founded to solve. And we got onto this the old-fashioned way. So the founders all basically got together and said, let's go actually ask the customer what's going on. So we literally hit the street and we walked into customer offices, all the small businesses. I mean, heck, you stand in the middle of a small city and throw a stone and you'll hit 10 small businesses. And so we got kicked out of half of them, obviously. Like, who are you and why are we talking to you? But the other half were willing to tell us that they actually had IT problems, but nobody knew how to fix it. So then we went and talked to their MSPs, and that's when light dawned. So that's where we actually ended up creating the product model and the business model that Uplevel is founded on, which basically means that we try and create equipment that works together so we don't produce security holes without knowing it. We cut down the time it takes to learn and configure and troubleshoot because, MSPs have techs. Techs need to come up to speed. And if you've got 12 different systems, the tech needs to learn. It can take forever before the tech is, up to speed and everything.
Absolutely.
And the worst part was everyone said trying to resolve a problem frequently becomes a finger pointing exercise. So you're like, let's see, this got to be in here in the firewall. So we call the firewall vendor, and the firewall vendor says, no, not ours. You need to go call the NAS vendor. The NAS vendor says, nope, not us. Go call the switch vendor. And before you know it, it's like a three-way circular firing squad. So an MSP is in the middle. So we don't like that at all.
Yeah, I hate that as an MSP personally. I hate when there's finger pointing that goes on. No, it's not our problem. No, it's not our problem. And it's always the MSP's problem.
Yes, exactly. So the way they expressed it to us was, we'd like to have one neck to choke. I was like, while I'm not a great fan of offering up my neck as the choking point, it's like, okay, well, maybe there is something to be said for getting into a partnership with MSPs where it's not the role of our support is not to find out or to figure out whose problem it is and get rid of it as quickly as possible, but instead to help the MSP actually fix the problem. So we do quite a bit of that with our partners.
Excellent.
Okay, so basically the system is designed for small businesses in anywhere from 5 to 100, and now we're actually talking expanding it to more than 100. But I think one of the key things is we mix on-site intelligence, with on-site hardware with cloud intelligence. So we have a unique architecture that does half of the processing in the cloud and then the other half sitting on boxes at the customer side. You've probably seen the little the white box that we shipped out to you, which is the gateway.
That's right. I love that thing.
Well, thank you.
That is awesome.
It's intended to plug in, and then once it plugs in, it calls home to the cloud, and then at that point, the cloud tells it what to do, and off you go. So, but I think one of the keys that we strive to do is to not just marry the product model to the MSP, but also the business model. So it's 100% subscription. So basically, it's all monthly fee. There's what we refer to as a 24-hour replacement guarantee. So we've had cases, for example, where lightning comes through the coax cable, blows up the ISP modem. And then one case went through the ISP modem, blew up the firewall, that little firewall behind it, and then went through the firewall and blew up a 24-port switch and an AP for good measure. Wow. That happened to the West Coast. You guys get some really serious storms, by the way, Scott. In summer, we can count on a few.
Yes, absolutely.
So what we do in those cases, the MSP calls up in the morning. We package up at our cost a whole new set of hardware, put it in UPS to the MSP. The MSP walks into the customer, plugs it in, and very frequently within 15 minutes, the customer is up and running.
And all the configurations are shipped out so as they were previously. So if you've got a lot of custom configurations, and I think some of yours even have a hard drive to do backups on, your backups will be on there as well.
That is correct.
Which is great.
So the configuration is in the cloud. So basically, we make sure before we ship anything that the configuration is up to date, and actually when it's plugged in, it downloads the config from the cloud, and if there's data that was backed up, then we load the data onto the box before it goes out. Okay. So probably one of the best compliments I got was several months ago from an MSP to whom this actually happened, and he walked into the customer, he plugged the box and an AP in, and he was out of in 20 minutes, called us from the parking lot, and said, Tom, that was amazing. That's like nothing ever happened. And we're like, yes, that's exactly what we wanted to hear.
That's great.
So rather than trying to go in, find the little sticky note that is pinned to the rack that says, here's the password to the firewall, and then try and get the config back to the firewall. Let's not do that. We also have a 36-month hardware refresh program. There are no upgrade fees, no per-user licenses, and obviously, if you're going to replace the hardware at our cost, there's no concept of a warranty, a service contract, or any of that stuff, right? I mean, that doesn't even make sense. So it's truly hardware as a service. I mean, your hardware, we make sure your hardware is working to deliver the services you signed up for.
Okay.
Right. So that was a brief introduction to Uplevel Systems, why we exist, what we think we're in here for. So if you have anything you'd like to expand on there, I'll turn it back to you. Otherwise, I'll talk about what we really wanted to talk to you about today, which was our new work from home offering.
Well, yeah, that's great. I want to get to the work from home offering, but just one thing that I want to kind of go back to your core systems here. One thing that really impresses me is the fact that these systems, well, the one that I have has a 1 terabyte SSD in it, and that can be used as you can use it like a NAS. And one thing too, you guys back that data up on that SSD to your secure servers, at whatever kind of backup schedule that you want. So that's very impressive. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that watching this, that these things also have an SSD in there, so it's not a typical router. It is an all-in-one device.
Correct. They actually have either 1 or a 5 terabyte drive. They have a wireless LAN controller, so you can plug in arbitrary numbers of access points into the box, and it will automatically detect and configure the lot. It has a switch controller, and then it has an Active Directory domain controller also built in. So all of that is there. We're pushing as quickly as we can towards the serverless enterprise.
So basically, and I think I already know the answer to this question, but I'm going to ask it for those who don't. So with the Active Directory domain controller integration, you can actually deploy, it's basically like having an Active Directory server built in to it, because you don't have to have an Active Directory instance going on a Windows file server. You can actually just deploy this standalone, and it can function as the Active Directory. It can take the place of the server.
Correct. We do have a fair number of partners now that are doing exactly that. So when the Windows server license comes up for renewal, they can enable the Active Directory function inside the Uplevel box, which is, by the way, also on a straight subscription basis with no per user licensing. And then you basically get the same functionality. In fact, they push GPOs to their the main computers. They do roaming profiles. They have folder redirection, the whole 9 yards.
That's very nice. Well, tell us about the work from home feature then. I know with COVID, this has been a big request for MSPs now. Their clients are coming to them, we've got half of our employees that are working from home now, COVID set the stage for that. But how has Uplevel, combated that? What have you done for your partners that offer them a solution to this issue?
Right. So we saw this coming in 2020. It was obvious to everyone that there was a giant shift towards the home. And so the issue that we saw immediately with work from home, because we have a lot of customers that have HIPAA compliance requirements. So this becomes really obvious as soon as you start thinking about how you can maintain those HIPAA compliance requirements while half the people are at home. And so the way MSPs have always treated the security situation is to just build a giant moat around the main office and treat the main office like a castle, right? So you build a moat around the office, you only allow in traffic and applications and people that have a right to be there. And then you pull up the drawbridge, and anything else that's surrounding that moat gets excluded. And so it's very well defined. It's really controlled. You can monitor it all the time. You know exactly what's inside that castle. So you can go, this app has no business being here. Let's get rid of it. And you also can walk in at any point and remediate. You can go, there's a machine that's obviously infected. We need to get that out. And so you can just go into the office and say, we need to get that out. So then we thought about what does this look like when half or all the workforce are actually at home. And it's like somebody came in with a bulldozer and filled in that moat. This is not pretty, right? So because as soon as all of your employees are at home and connected by VPNs into that castle that you just carefully built, the moat's filled in, and now there's virtually no perimeter at all, because basically it's like you just included the 20 homelands into your carefully managed corporate land. It's really hard to monitor because no MSP I know of wants to sit around and wonder why somebody's Xbox is online or offline or has a virus.
That's right.
And finally, there's hardly any access, because I've never met an MSP who regarded home visits as being the highlight of their career. I mean, most MSPs are like, you must be joking. I'm not going to go into somebody's house. Are you crazy? It's like, yeah, so basically you can't remediate, you can't manage, monitor, control, but this has just become part of your perimeter. So now what exactly do you do about this? So of course, we started off in MSPs, we've got a lot of partners. So it's like, so is this a problem? So, and don't VPN solve it? Because we looked at what other people were talking about and said, yeah, sure, you have good, solid, RMM tools and good AV on your laptop and set up a nice, solid encrypted VPN and you're golden. Well, that didn't really make a lot of sense to us. Because if that were the case, then you should just get rid of all the firewalls in every corporate office and just have everyone having antivirus on their laptops and you are done, right? There's no need for a firewall anymore. So clearly the issue is that if you have somebody on a laptop that's sitting in their house, they are on the home Wi-Fi. And let's assume that they have a Samsung Smart TV. I have one of those. It terrifies me because it's got so many apps running on it. And I have no control about what apps are running, what Samsung is doing, or even worse, what my teenage son is doing. So if you got a Samsung TV, somebody's cracked it. Now that someone who's cracked the Samsung TV can see every device on the house, including that laptop, which was issued by you from the corporation. And so that Samsung TV and that hacker behind it can just sit there all day long, figuring out all the different ways in which they can figure out how to get into the laptop, right? So you've got AV on it, you've got firewalls on the laptop. Well, as we all know, nothing is perfect. But as soon as they crack the laptop, they have an immediate protected path straight into the corporate network through that VPN. So nothing prevents somebody from doing this. And since no one's sitting there monitoring the home, I mean, certainly no one that I know of wants to sit there and monitor somebody's Samsung TV. You don't even know this is going on. This is an issue, obviously. And of course, at that point, then how are we going to stand behind our HIPAA business associates agreements that say, yeah, verily, if somebody has exposed patient health information, we are going to get in there and remediate. What's the remediation step? Employee, you need to get rid of your Samsung TV. It's compromised. Employee's response is not a chance. So this is the problem, right? So this is what we actually ended up realizing. It's like, yes, the business got distributed, but the security needs haven't gone away. Anyone would like to explain this to your cyber insurance provider? So, and then we looked around at various people's houses, and some of them had no security, some of them had security, some of them had decent security, and then a teenager in the house, which means basically they've got an invitation to threats, et cetera, et cetera. For sure, we couldn't sit any one of them down and go through the HIPAA compliance requirements, which means you have to give them the song and dance about this is how you protect all the devices, this is how you log out of your systems, log in, all that stuff. Remember, you know, all the HIPAA stuff.
Yep.
Doesn't work. Does not work. So we came up with this. This is our work from home product.
The work from home box, and it's small.
It's small. It has to be small because we tried sending this to an employee's house. The response was not positive. We sent this to an employee's house. It was so much better received. In fact, this actually was, I have an amusing story about this one. So we sent this out to an employee's house. I mean, we actually had our first work from home customer. We sent 20 of these boxes out for self-install. I'm glad to report that they all self-installed and got online without any significant hitches. Nobody had to make home calls. But we sent this out, and these things have the same things as our big fat boxes, right? So it has a temperature alarm. Well, after about a couple of weeks, we got this alarm from one of these little black boxes saying there's an overtemp. So like, what's going on? So the MSP reaches out, and we discovered that the employee's daughter thought that this little box was cute. And so she wrapped a blanket around it. And that caused I mean, it's got no fans, but when you wrap this thing in a nice little blanket,
it gets hot.
It gets hot,
yeah.
Which sets off the temperature alarm, which causes us to go, could you unwrap the blanket? It's really not intended.
That's the obvious solution.
Yes, it seems to be obvious. But the fact is that it's friendly enough that the employee's 5-year-old daughter actually thought, oh, this is so cute. As opposed to this, which would have been like, oh my God, it's going to kill me. So.
Right, absolutely. So I wonder if the employee's daughter was just trying to wrap it up to conceal it.
Well, she was actually, sorry, I should actually zoom it out so you don't see this screen. Yeah. So no, she thought it was a toy, and so she was playing with it. We just sort of sat there, oh, new little toy, it's a little warm, wires coming out of it. Mom won't mind if I mess with it. So, I mean, the internet never went down, but it got a little warm. So anyways, that's the work from home system, which we then send out to employees' houses, and it works either with existing firewalls that are already in there. So that first customer actually had a Sonicwall. So we just had all these boxes automatically connect into the Sonicwall. And they essentially got VPN trunks from the house to the Sonicwall. And or it'll connect straight into an Uplevel gateway and do the same thing. We're pretty agnostic about that.
That's excellent.
So what this does is effectively it's a little corporate managed MSP managed firewall that sits in the employee's house, but the employee can only access the corporate resources if they are jacked into either the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet on this box, not through their home Wi-Fi. So what this does is it actually punches an encrypted tunnel right through the whole home network. Over the internet into the main office. And so when the employee is jacked into, for example, one of these LAN ports, then the Samsung TV is on the internet side of this guy. And so the Samsung TV can't even see the employee's computer because there's a big fat an enterprise grade firewall sitting between that employee's laptop or computer and the Samsung TV.
So I'm trying, as you're describing this scenario, I'm trying to, work it out in my head. So on the network, are there 2 DHCP servers?
Oh, very good. I actually have a little thing that explains what this looks like. Let me just share that. So basically, this is, you can see a kind of picture or a block diagram of what it would look like in the employee's house, right?
Okay.
So there's the home LAN, and there's all these devices that have various people from Russia phoning into them. There's so what the little black box does is it actually creates what we refer to as a secure sandbox, or you could call it a locked room or a vault or a sandbox. And essentially it hides everything behind or inside the sandbox from all these devices that are compromised.
Gotcha.
And so the purple over here is the encrypted tunnel that is set up to the office network. So when, for example, this Samsung TV over here tries to get in and see what's there on the network, they only see the front end of this, the work from home security device, which is a brick wall. I mean, basically they try and probe it, ping it, do whatever they feel like to it. It doesn't respond. It just sort of sits there. It's almost completely invisible to the rest of the devices. And in the meantime, the employee laptop connects into the same Wi-Fi profile as they would at the main office and gets the same resources as they would at the main office. So if they have a terminal server at the main office, they simply log in to the terminal server of the main office, just like they would on the LAN, and off they go. And their traffic is hidden from all these home devices, and they themselves are hidden from all the home devices.
Okay. I think it makes sense. I'm still a little fuzzy on the IP addressing. Like, does the secure work from home box, does it have its own built-in DHCP server? Okay, that's what I was going to say. You probably, with these work from home solutions, you probably have a myriad of Netgear boxes or Linksys boxes, and they would have their own, that would be like the main gateway.
That's correct.
Okay.
So this box just grabs an IP address from the existing home network, just like any of these TVs or workstations would do. And then after that, it has a DHCP server and DNS server and firewall and everything inside it, so that the employee laptop never gets an IP from the homeland. The employee laptop gets an IP from the work from home device.
Gotcha.
And then the work from home device just acts like a picture frame or any other device on the homeland and communicates using SSL traffic. So it looks like any other device on the homeland.
Okay.
Except what it's got is an encrypted tunnel straight to the corporate device.
That's beautiful.
So this now makes things like, say, HIPAA compliance a whole different ball of wax, right? Because at this point, this device now just acts like an MSP managed firewall, just the same as the business office, which is an MSP managed firewall. All the devices behind this firewall are now part of the regulatory domain.
Okay.
All the devices outside the firewall are not. And that is just like if you had an internet connection between your machine and, two offices. If you had a site-to-site internet connection, you don't care about what's going on in the internet. You've got a nice encrypted VPN tunnel between them. As long as you can encrypt everything going between those two firewalls, you're golden. But you control this whole network over here. So you know exactly who connected in, you know exactly what they did, you know exactly what traffic went on, when they connected, when they disconnected, you have an audit log. So now suddenly you can say, yes, I can remediate by, say, blocking off this laptop. Okay. Which you would never be able to do over here if it were the home LAN. You don't even have access into that ISP modem, which is providing your home internet services.
Okay.
So at that point now, this just looks like a remote satellite office, but it's under your control, and therefore you have full remediation ability. You know exactly what's going on, and you can stop it.
Excellent. And the Samsung TV can't spy on the corporate data.
Exactly. So trying to prove that no patient health information was intercepted by the Samsung TV got a whole lot better, easier, because basically anything that hits the box is fully encrypted before it leaves the box, and the Samsung TV doesn't know this laptop even is there.
Right. So you're saying there could be 8 devices connected to the work from home device, but the Samsung TV is only going to see the work from home device. They won't see any of those other 8 devices.
Exactly right.
Those 8 devices will be one device.
It'll be one device. We do have cases where there were employees, there were like 2 employees in the same house, and they just connected like a workstation and then a couple of laptops. All 3 devices, and there was one case where they had a phone. All 3 devices and the phone were all behind that one work from home device. And from the outside world, the Samsung TV had no clue any of this even existed.
Okay.
Let alone get at them. I mean, there was no way the TV could get at them, because this little black box is basically just dropping every packet that comes from the Samsung TV.
Okay.
Hopefully this makes it more clear.
And so the IP address that the ISP modem hands out to the work from home box, actually that IP address would be the WAN IP address for the connected devices.
It would be effectively the WAN IP address, yes.
Okay,
so this is like 192.168. We would then hand out over here something completely different, like maybe 10 or 100 or something.
Sure.
And then, but then yes, these devices think that there's a WAN IP address for some 192.168 something. Well, actually, they really wouldn't even see it. This work from home device stops them from having to bother with it.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense there. I was trying to put it together in my head, and I'm like, wait a minute. So I was like, it sounds great, it's perfect, but no, thank you for explaining that. That pulled it all together for me then.
So what then happens is that these devices now look like they're actually on the office LAN over here. So they don't even need to open up. The employees, for example, do not open up VPN clients. There's no VPN running on the laptops. These jack into the Wi-Fi or the Ethernet, and it is like they connected to the LAN here. So it means like the terminal server or file server, whatever is over here, is using the exact same credentials and addressing here as they are over there. So the employee just folds up the laptop, puts it into the bag, goes home, opens it up, connects to the Wi-Fi with the same profile, and he's back in business, or she's back in business.
That is dynamite. I love it.
So it was actually, did a lot of things to keep it really, I would say, smooth and hassle-free for the employee, because it was very clear that if we put even a slight amount of complexity in the employee's path, they weren't going to use it. I mean, now, it's easy to get people to do security, but it's not easy to have them go out of their way to do security.
So, Tom, do you know, and you don't have to tell me who it is, but do you know of any other network hardware vendor in the IT channel doing this kind of stuff, offering a solution for this? Or is Uplevel Systems the only one? I haven't heard of any.
Well, I mean, you can make your own solution. So, for example, you could take a Meraki setup, and they have lower end devices that you can put out there. But I mean, it's not the same thing, right? So, for example, this is a full subscription thing. So, actually, that's where some of the benefits for the customer come up, right? So it's a subscription model. It's not a buy model. We couldn't find any IT business owner, any small business owner or even a CFO who worked for a small business who was willing to go out on a limb and buy 20 or 50 firewalls, Sonicwall, Meraki, or whatever, and just send them home with their employees, trusting that the employees will actually get them all back. Or if the employee decides to quit in a rage, that they wouldn't use it to like kill the corporate data and stuff like that. So, whereas this is a pure subscription. So basically that means the CFO looks at it as, oh, we have a bit of an added monthly cost for our work from home employees, but hey, that's offset by the fact that we pay a smaller lease. It's a wash. Oh, great, go for it. It's not like, oh, you mean I have to spend $10,000 buying firewalls for everyone at home?
It balances out.
It totally balances out, yes. So, and then it's actually, you can write it off taxes. It's OpEx. So that means instead of buying equipment and depreciating the darn things, you can actually say, well, we just made a bit more profit this year, guys. And so it's really difficult to convince them to send expensive gear to employees' houses. It's hard enough sending a laptop, let alone now a whole IT setup. And another thing that we noticed was it accommodated seasonal workers. So if you had, say, a tax accountant and they had in April, they hired 20 more employees. It's not like you need to go buy 20 more firewalls. You just call up and say, we'd like to bump our subscription, get 20 more subscriptions. July rolls around and they're completely done with tax season. Send them all back. Turn the subscription back down.
Wow.
So it works nicely.
So it's really that easy.
It is that easy.
Wow. That's awesome.
Our partners typically, they flex with their customers. So they're like, hey, this customer just started a new office. Cool. Here's another gateway. It's another subscription per month. Don't need to worry about buying another chunk of hardware. And then it works the other way. This office had to close. Okay, well, no harm. Just turn the subscription down and send it back to us.
Okay.
So it works very nicely there. There's some benefits for the MSP as well, as you can probably tell. So first of all, you do get control over the IT infrastructure. We just went through that. So you can now actually honor some of those HIPAA BAs that we were talking about. So managing the security footprint is now possible again. I mean, that moat that we were talking about, you can actually now build it all the way out to cover all the employees instead of going, we now had 20 people basically filling in the moat in 20 different places. No, you don't anymore. The moat just got wider, that's all. And then there is something that is probably just starting to come up, but hasn't yet been realized, is the fact that, if this trend goes on and employees are partly or completely working from home, what's going to happen to all of our monthly management fees? This is a question that I have, people at Uplevel have been thinking about for a while. So usually you get paid on the basis of, okay, I've got a server to babysit. This is a certain amount per month. I've got 40 workstations. That's that's a each per month. But if half the employees are at home, the business owner is going to walk in and go, I'm paying you this much per month, and this is a really small office. Why am I paying you this much per month? Because I haven't seen my employees for 3 months. So this actually allows MSPs to justify the fact that they are actually keeping the business secure, keeping the employees going, and all that stuff demonstrably. In fact, they've got a piece of hardware sitting at every employee's house, building the moat. And so those fees that should have gone down won't. They'll actually stay the same or go up. So that's something that possibly is, should be factored in. And finally, of course, cyber insurance. Now you can actually stand up and tell your cyber insurance provider, we are keeping all those compromised Samsung TVs out of this stuff, so you don't have to jack up my premiums.
And for anybody watching that is not sure, these firewalls are true UTMs, right? Would you consider them unified threat management devices?
Well, okay, I come from an enterprise background, so I tend to be a purist about such stuff. So we wouldn't try to apply the label UTM on that, because there's as many definitions of UTM as there are firewalls. But yes, they do have a lot of the facilities or the features and capabilities that you would associate with the traditional enterprise class UTM. So they have deep packet inspection, and they have content filtering, and they do things like geo-blocking, and they do all the rest of the stuff that UTMs are traditionally supposed to have. And they have VPN tunnels, obviously, as you've seen from this. So they have all the stuff that I'm used to in terms of UTMs, but they don't have some things like, for example, they don't have antivirus.
Right, right. Okay.
And that was since everything is moving to Gmail, just like a royal pain in the neck in a small business to try and put in an SSL proxy so that all of the employees could have their mail opened and checked. And so you most actually do antivirus on the laptops and the desktops. That makes sense. All the MSPs we talked to said, hey, I've got an AV solution. Why do I need you? But for those reasons, we don't try and duplicate the stuff that an MSP already has under control. But we do all the others.
Well, no, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely. But you're just to clarify, you do have MSP partners who support HIPAA clientele, and they pass HIPAA scans and audits with the Uplevel systems. I think that's really all it boils down to.
We sign HIPAA business associates agreements with our partners as a business associate of the customer. And our lawyers would essentially kill us if we did that without actually having that's a legal liability. We take that seriously.
Sure, absolutely.
And
No,
we've
I
also
just
been told, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just going to say I know that that's on on a lot of MSPs' minds is you know not all firewalls are cut from the same cloth, so to speak. So
Right. And we also have been told by our partners that passing, for example, a PCI DSS scan is very easy with an Uplevel system. So we
excellent.
just set it up. We have the VPN isolation for credit card machines and point of sale devices, all that stuff. So we've been through that particular cycle many times.
And how easy is your support? Like if an MSP partner is working with you and they've got a site to deploy a system at, and they're running into some trouble on the installation, how far will your team troubleshoot and offer support for that product?
We go all the way until the whole site is up and running. So it's not just, yeah, the firewall is good. Okay, now we can wash our hands and leave. No, it has to be the firewall, the switches, the phone system, and the customers need to be able to come in and log into the PCs. And even if there's a Windows domain controller on site, not an Uplevel domain controller, a Windows domain controller, we actually help the MSPs troubleshoot domain join issues so that we can make sure the right DNS gets pushed. All the stuff is there. So in a sense, okay, I would say from the strictly pragmatic point of view, this is a subscription model. And so if the customer ain't happy, the subscription gets canceled, nobody makes any money.
That's right.
It totally behooves us to be right in the trenches alongside the MSP. But also it's like, we tend to regard MSPs as our partners, and the partnership goes both ways. So we can't just go, not a problem, and leave. That is not how we do business.
Well, I picked up on something a minute ago that is kind of rare for a vendor to do. You had mentioned working with one of your MSP partners that had a Sonicwall deployed at a main corporate office, and that you were integrating and working within that. So, a lot of different companies will say, well, we're not Sonicwall, we don't support them. We don't support a product that's not ours. And I totally get that 100%. But the fact that you're willing to jump in and dive in with them, and sure, we'll jump into and we'll try to figure it out with you. Just knowing that you have a partner that's willing to, do something like that, to me just speaks volumes. It may not be your solution that you're working with, but trying to integrate your solution into another vendor's product. The fact that you won't do the finger pointing, you'll say, well, let's take a look at what you got and, go into it and kind of try to, be an extra set of eyes for the MSP partner. That's really helpful.
Oh yeah, that's actually, again, I think the subscription model does drive a lot of good behavior for that. So in the case of, the Sonicwall, it's not like anyone would benefit if we just said, oh, you know what, that sounds like a Sonicwall problem, go figure it out. In the specific case of Sonicwall, our support team actually was given read-only access temporarily to the Sonicwall VPN logs so that we could troubleshoot a couple of really cranky instances of employees where this little black box couldn't connect to the VPN. So we just compared the VPN logs on our side with the Sonicwall VPN logs and said, oh, there's a setting over here. Let's change that setting in the firewall. Bingo, works. Everyone's happy.
No, because listen, I've worked with Sonicwall Support in the past, and if you run into an issue doesn't have to do with the Sonicwall, they're going to tell you, well, we've done everything we can. You'll need to contact this vendor and do whatever with them to get them to open it up. So no, that's great. My hat's off to you for that. We need more vendors in the IT channel doing that.
So I guess let's see, I can show you the dashboard behind all of this stuff, or I can turn it over to, all right, so it'll be really quick. So
sure.
There's not a whole lot. Let's see if I can go in and pull up Our dashboard. There we go. It's sharing the screen again. Okay. Right, you actually, Scott, you probably saw this dashboard, except it only had one bar on it. So we have the single pane of glass approach to life. So essentially, all of your customers end up being bars on the dashboard, and you can actually expand each of these things. And yeah, so this is a live setup. So I'm not going to mess with it too much because I bring down a lot of employees' houses. So this is my house, and I can tell you right now that if I brought that one down, I'd be having a few problems because my wife would be on the phone. That's not good. And that is actually a work from home box that's installed at our house. We believe in consuming our own dog food, as you can find.
That's very good practice.
Yes, we should be the first to know. So here's one, for example, that's work from home setup. So we have these three boxes are in Austin, Texas, and that one is the main office in Portland. So this is living and breathing that remote worker scenario. And so you can see all the different home setups are in there under one pane of glass, and you go in to configure it, and you see everything that is configurable over here. So you see all the services actually under one pane of glass.
Oh, nice.
And you can click through, in fact, even Active Directory is over. You can enable AD and set up an AD domain. And we try to keep it really simple, and we try to put everything in plain English. Do not, make it harder for anyone than it has to be, because you're probably under the gun with a customer breathing down your neck, and the last thing you need to do is to now crack open a 200-page manual going, what does this mean? So no, don't do it. So right, the system has storage. You can add storage to it. It has VPNs. You can control all the VPN from here. You can do site-to-site VPNs. It is literally one click. So I clicked that, and I've set up site-to-site VPN. You'd want to do this for your work from home boxes.
Wow.
So basically, that one click does a whole lot of stuff under the hood, which is setting up firewall rules, VPN tunnels, routing rules, creating endpoints, all that stuff that you normally would do. And normally what I was used to doing in enterprise equipment by hand, one by one, and making sure you got it right, you do it the click.
So your systems basically automate the long, brutal process of network configuration and setup.
Yes, correct.
That's awesome.
And the side benefit is that since all of this stuff is maintained in the cloud, our primary configuration database is actually in the cloud. Let us say I need to swap out the gateway that's Raj home with a new gateway. Raj decided to set fire to it and said, okay, I want a new gateway. I'm subscribed to it. You need to send me one. Okay, we'll send you one. We send him one, he plugs it in, and the reason that you don't have to remember the password to his gateway is that there isn't any. It plugs it in, it authenticates to a cloud with the security credentials, downloads this VPN config, and he's back and running without you having to raise a finger.
Wow.
So all of that routing and DCP and layer 3 and layer 4 and tunneling and all the stuff that went on in the gateway, you don't need to repeat. We have found so many cases where the MSP says or has come to us going, the previous MSP didn't bother to inform the customer of the firewall password. Can you kind of figure out what the network configuration is so we can replicate it? And so this is a thing of the past now.
Nice.
So we have, of course, diagnostic tests. You can do remote diagnostics. Of course, you can manage your Wi-Fi and do VoIP quality of service, etc. And everything that you can do with the large enterprise stuff, you can now do on the work from home gateway, except the work from home gateway only has 4 Ethernet ports. So it actually looks much less or much simpler. But you notice the same setup is over here. So it literally has the same configuration, same abilities as the full-size gateway, just a smaller form factor and no storage.
Okay.
One of the useful features is actually it does have 2 Ethernet ports. And this has saved my bacon in my house. This is why I have a work from home gateway in my house, apart from eating my own dog food. Because during the pandemic, Netflix became an essential service, believe it or not.
That's right.
And so as soon as I knew whenever my ISP was not up to snuff, because I would get a call in 30 seconds from my wife or my teenager. Dad, dinner is down. So what I did was I had a work from home gateway in there. So I invested in a cheap DSL service, 30 bucks a month, I think. And I hooked it to the second port. And all of our gateways have automatic failover built in. So what happens is when my cable goes in the blink, it fails right over to the DSL line, and I don't get any more phone calls.
Wow, that's nice. I have to see if I can get a second connection here at my office for 30 bucks a month. That would be great.
It's actually like a 10 megabit per second DSL line.
Okay.
I mean, sorry, it comes in all the phone line, right? So you actually might be able to get one in. You just call your, there's probably a second provider in there who will run DSL to you.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, hey, for 30 bucks a month, not having to deal with a roughly once a week screaming phone call is not bad.
That's right. Well, I want to ask you one more question while you've got this up, and I'm not seeing it with mine. And I think you and I have talked about this before privately, but I want to kind of bring it to your attention. Maybe you can discuss it a little bit. Like mine is called Snake. My device. Can you go through the idea behind the different names for the devices, the network hardware?
Right. Actually, yes. So in fact, this device, if you go to site settings, you notice this one is called EMO 424. So we needed a way whereby we could quickly look up the customer, the office, the MSP, and all the necessary information around a particular problem in support as soon as the MSP calls in. And usually that is, it is very important to get that information like ASAP, because the MSP is usually sitting under a server table somewhere, and the customer, probably the entire office, is busy breathing down his neck going,
sure,
when is the internet going to come on? When's the internet going to come on? And the MSP is like, sweating, and he's calling up going, the internet is dead. You got to help me. So when you go, okay, MSP, you need to open a trouble ticket. We need to know exactly what all your account number is. Like, I don't have time for any of this stuff. You need to fix this. So our support doesn't do that. Our support simply goes, could you give us the creature name of the gateway? So they look at it, it's called EMU 424. We punch EMU 424 into our support system, up pops everything. It pops up the office, the customer, the MSP, everything. We dial in and go, oh, I see. Yes, we got it. It's customer it's Podunk accounting, and you're at the La Jolla office. The MSP is like, yeah, great. Now fix it.
so that friendly name, or the factory name, basically allows you to pinpoint which device exactly that you're dealing with. Okay, that makes total sense.
Yep. And we do that in our APs and switches. So if they've got a Wi-Fi problem and they're like, I'm looking at this AP and it's got a big fat issue. Well, could you turn it over and just tell me what the name is? Oh, it's Jackal 545. Oh, got it. Okay. Mink. All right. You're at this office, this AP. Let me take a look. Oh, look, that AP is probably dead. We'll send you a replacement.
Sure.
Way faster than trying to go through the whole ticketing process.
Gotcha.
And yeah, we've all been in the trenches, right? So you know exactly what happens. Like,
sure,
the customer wants it solved yesterday. He's telling you, busy spending your time telling you how important this is to his business to get it fixed. And the last thing you want to do is be on the phone, trying to explain how to get to the customer.
That's right.
So yeah, this solved it. So it's a little thing.
Well, great. Well, how do you come up with all the names? Are they just randomly generated names?
They're randomly generated names, yes.
Okay.
We make sure they're unique before it goes out, but they're randomly generated.
Okay.
We try to keep all the bad names out of it, so we try and not have too many rats and things are kind of frowned upon.
Gotcha. Well,
Okay.
Tom, I want to ask you a question then. So if an MSP is watching this and they are interested in signing up for Uplevel Systems to be a partner, what is the best way for them to get in touch with your team or get that process started? What does that look like?
Oh, perfect. That's where we have Corey. Corey, you have it.
Thank you. Well, the easy answer to that, Scott, would be to give us a call, or if they have your contact information, I'm sure you can pass that on as well. But either visit the website, go to Facebook, you can call us, email us, whatever is the most convenient, easy way for you to get a hold of us. But what we see on the screen here is just kind of an overview of our partner program. And you had mentioned this at the beginning, it's like, what do we call our dealers, so to speak? We call them partners because we want to be there in the trenches with you from the beginning through the entire process. And so, we've touched on a lot of these points through already, so I'll kind of speed through this, but we want to be there at the beginning through the pre-sale cycle with you. We can help you with your layout, design. Tom's a bit of an expert in some of this stuff, so send us a line drawing of the building. We can help you with the number of APs that you'll need, where to put them, make sure that you've got the exact right system for this particular project. We'll help you with the quoting from your specific numbers as an MSP, and even help you come up with appropriate pricing to give to your client in this case. And if you need, we'll help you with the presentation to justify the cost and all the services that you're providing. Service has been a big part about what we've talked about. We want to be there with you from beginning to end to make sure that your questions are answered, to make sure that your customer is satisfied, and to make sure that everything's moving smoothly. Our real goal is to make sure that once it's installed and you walk away, that you really don't have to go back there very often. And most everything you will come up will actually be remedied through the dashboard. As we mentioned, this is a subscription-based service, which kind of keeps us honest. So we have to make sure that your equipment is never obsolete. It's never out of date. We're going to make sure that you're getting good gear. We don't want to have to keep swapping it out. And Tom he told the story about the 24-hour replacement guarantee that came up earlier. So those are all, just key factors for our MSP partners. If there's issues with the equipment, call us up. We'll help you get through it, and we'll get it swapped out if we need to overnight it. But our real goal with our partner program is to make doing business with your small to mid-sized clients really a profitable thing for you. Our program is set up such that we will help you generate a recurring monthly revenue stream. So that's just money that's coming in for your business every month that you really don't have to worry about. It's just there. We want to make sure that it's minimal maintenance on your part. It's easy to handle. It's easy to support, and really come up with a system for you that's comprehensive, secure solution, and truly hassle-free. So give you a next slide, Tom. 10,000-foot view of our partner program. We can certainly go over this in more detail if anybody has any questions. Again, just give us a call. But when you first sign up with us, we're going to send you a set of demo equipment that you'll get for 90 days to review, make sure you're comfortable with it, make sure you understand how it works, the inside and out of it. Go ahead and deploy it if you can, use it in your office or send it back. And then when you do get a new client, you actually get like a 30-day window to install it, to make sure that it works right, make sure your customer's comfortable with it. And again, if it's not working, send it back. Again, support, that's really the backbone of what we do. Issues come up, make sure that you call us up. Don't let anything fester. We're going to be there to support you. Somebody earlier mentioned support by chat. We don't do it that way. It's support by chat over the phone. I suppose you can do it via email if you want to, but there is no chat button. We're not going to ignore you or push you off to a different vendor. We're going to help you through all aspects of that. A couple of interesting things about our partner program. We do have a lead generation program available. I mean, you had mentioned that we were able to provide you with a lead, and we love to do that when those come in. Occasionally, we do get end users that call us up. But for the most part, they're calling you guys the MSPs in the field. But what we can do is we can create a list for you of clients that are the right size, the right vertical markets that apply to your specific territory, and we can provide that list for you. So it's a good starting point, a good contact point for you to jump off. A good jumping off point for you to go out into the field and start to grow your business. And then beyond that, we also have co-branded collateral, which we can produce for you. So we create the content, and when you sign up, send us your logo, your name, your color scheme, all that good stuff. We'll populate the brochures. You can print them out or attach them in an email, and it just helps you along the way as you're out building your business. So again, you know, we really want to be there with you and as you're growing, and be a partner to our MSPs and help you grow and get a good, reliable base of business. So, but again, if people have questions, if anybody would like to see a more detailed demonstration that Tom went through, or go more specifically through the partner program, just reach out to us, phone, email, whatever is convenient for you, and we'd be happy to go through it in greater detail.
Well, that sounds great. Thank you guys so much for the time you spent today going over Uplevel Systems. We really appreciate it. And hey, I can tell everyone I'm an Uplevel partner, and I'm very excited about the partnership. And you guys have been great to work with so far. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks for having us.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.
You as well.
Thank you.